So it happened. We moved to online teaching starting from this week, and probably next week we will have also class online. I decided to send you two short films, each 15 minutes, as an introduction to our class. So it means that I will open my computer and also will send you a link on Wednesday, exactly at our time, means 1:15, and you are invited to watch these two films for first 30 minutes and a quarter to two till 2:45, means 1 hour, we will have a discussion. Because I think that to listen to me for 1 hour will be very annoying. In, but short film perhaps will be a good introduction to the topic. As in class on Face, also online, I will briefly comment texts which are available to you on our campus platform. And also, I will add something from my experience. I will not only focus my attention on the reading, but also will say a few words about the authors and reasons why I consider them worth it to read, and how their books, the articles, are related to our main topic, because this is what is interesting for me, and I hope for you, namely liberal American Catholicism. So the first part, I will focus on Charles Curran, who is one of the most important moral theologians. He was born in 1934, and till 80s he was leading moral Catholic theologian. I will not tell you many things about his education because it's a typical one. He entered a seminar after he studied in Rome, where he made his PhD. He took part on the Second Vatican Council, but not directly, as many more important theologians, or older perhaps. But he exactly studied and wrote his PhD in when moral theology, or theology as such, moved from dogmatic to more pastoral approach. Pastoral means that theologians started to listen to the life experience of people. And the text which I send you is part two, I think, or three chapters from his autobiography, which is extremely interesting because it's exactly as a mirror of the present situation of many liberal theologians. So they are, in a way, demonstrating how liberal Catholics are coping or facing or struggling with less liberal part of American, or globally speaking, of the post-conciliar Catholicism. And this book is his autobiography, Loyal Dissent, Memoirs of the Catholic Theologian. Of course, entire book is interesting, but knowing your many obligations, I'm sure that you cannot read the entire book, but perhaps you will be interesting to read these few chapters because it's exactly focused on humane vitae. I mentioned already many times humane vitae, but as you see, it's never enough to return to this turning point in relationship between um, papacy or Vatican and liberal theologians. And here, and this is why I encourage you to read it, you see it in, so to say, down to earth. How in the biography of one leading theologian this encyclica played and is still playing. He's still alive, he's still active as a theologian. He even wrote an essay on Humane Vitae 50 years after, which, if some of you are interested, I can send you. But in any way, please see how, and this is the topic of our meeting today, how your own tradition, so to say, is the biggest challenge. When you take seriously the openness of your institution, this in this case, the Catholic Church, and you take seriously the documents of the Second Vatican Council, and you with enthusiasm start to listen to the people, to read the contemporary philosophers, you are also active in taking seriously results of psychology, of sexuology, etc., etc., and you see that it's hardly to apply it to the old dogmatic approach to human sexuality. You are proposing, exactly as a theologian, as someone trained in the institution, educated in this institution, and you are proposing something new, original, creative, and you meet enthusiastic reception of your students, even of your colleagues, of many bishops, and suddenly you are faced with opposition of the Vatican. So, how to deal with this? How to cope with this unnatural reality? So, you you write a book, Loyal Dissent, where you have two key concepts: that you are loyal because you know very well your tradition, and you know that this tradition is not done one forever, but you can develop it, you can creatively put it in dialogue with contemporary world, and meeting the opposition of the Vatican, you dissent. So this is this dissent. You become persona non grata in a way. And in fact, Charles Curran had a lot of problems with Paul VI because we are still in 68. He was 34, a very young theologian, but nevertheless he was able to promote his new approach to human morality. He was a promoter of the possibility to reconcile contraception with faithfulness toward Christian morality, and you have to fight, to be in tension. And for 10 years, in fact, he was able to maintain his position as a Catholic theologian at Catholic University in Washington. Of course, it was not without problems, but 60s, as you know, it was the students' revolt, very huge changes at state universities, but also in Catholic universities. So the Pope was not happy with the opponents, but Charles Curran was not the only one. Even many bishops' conferences around the world, in the United States, many bishops were expressing their dissent toward Humane Vitae, and many theologians. He was supported by many till 79. As you remember, what happened in 79? We have a new pope, John Paul II, who was less dialogical, less open for new ideas, and very much focused on conservative solutions. So he was not only promoting Humane Vitae, he wrote his own encyclica entitled Evangelium Vitae, where he underlined this traditional approach. This is almost infallible. And Curran in 80s lost his position at Catholic University in Washington, and he was forced to move to another university, which was not anymore Catholic, but was Methodist university, and because Methodist Church was more open toward this new proposition to accept anti-conception, to be more flexible toward complexity of abortion, and so on and so on. So he moved to Southern Methodist University, where he is professor till today. And because we are in United States and in the pluralistic context, he was not jobless. He could work, he could publish, and till now he's considered as a dean of American moral theologians. 5 years ago, I have a chance to meet him also in during one conference, and I was able also to exchange with him some ideas and how it is, existentially speaking, to be a loyal dissenting theologian. It's possible. It's hard to make friends with everybody, particularly if you are surrounded by conservatives or by fundamentalists. By Nevertheless, if you are really convinced that your approach is the correct one and you have good arguments, so you are really developing a new, more open, more dialogical, more inclusive theology, and you find also listeners, readers, an audience who accept you. But you have also to live with the fact that many people and even some highest authority in the church are not accepting your position. So, in other words, and this is more or less what I have to say about this first example of liberal Catholic theologian who is struggling with its own heritage and is proposing a new avenues. And I think it's worth it to know him, and perhaps if some of you are still looking for a topic for his or her presentation, it's good to have a look on Charles Curran life and work, and to present uh, to your colleagues a figure, a positive one, a contribution of American Catholicism, of American liberal Catholicism to global reflection on moral theology, on morality generally. So my next talk will be focused on another two historian and theologian. One will be a Jewish one, Daniel Boyarin, who is been in touch with the Catholic theologian, and another, the Christian one, Andreas Runesen, and you will see that also to be a historian is sometimes not so easy. So thank you for now and see you in class.